Welcome back, True Seeker. Yesterday, May 10th, 2022, Major League Baseball had its first no hitter of the season. And of course, in recent years, with the MLB becoming very gimmicky, there's been a lot more no hitters each year than there has been historically. And every last one of these no hitters, when you know the language of gematria, the language that all of professional sports are rigged and scripted by, you can see right through. And of course, yesterday I put out a video showing how all of the news stories were encoded with the number 105. And that's because the date was the 10th day of the fifth month, 10/5, like 105. So would you believe that the surname of the first pitcher to throw a no hitter of the season, Detmers, equals 105? Again, this is just par for the course. The world of sports is completely rigged and scripted. The announcers are always blurting out, you couldn't have scripted it any better. And if you want to know how it's scripted, you better learn Gematria, which is as simple as ABC is 1, 2, 3, and also just running the alphabetic order in reverse. Keep in mind, this is the 22 season. And can you guess how old Detmers is? 22. And he plays for the Angels, the team in the MLB that has 22 gematria. But here, let's look at this entire ritual. We'll also talk about the death of Tyler Skaggs from a few years back and how, no doubt, it factored into what happened. The Angels won last night with the no-hitter 12-0. So 12-0, 1-2-0. The pitcher who threw the no-hitter, again, his surname Detmers equals 105 when you just run the alphabetic order in reverse. The name Reid Detmers equals 120 when you run the alphabetic order forwards. 12-0, 120. And for another familiar pattern from his birthday, July 8th, his 22nd birthday, to the date of his no-hitter, was his 307th day of his age. That's the 63rd prime number. And this is a number that's used a ton in baseball rituals because Major League Baseball equals 63 when you run the alphabetic order forwards with numerology. Major League equals 63 when you run the alphabetic order in reverse with numerology. 63. A few years back, on June 3rd, you had the first no-hitter of the season. 6-3. It was thrown by a Cub. Or excuse me, I take it back. It was thrown by a Florida Marlin. It was thrown by a Florida Marlin whose name equaled 63, and it was synced up with the death of the Florida Marlin from the season prior in the boating accident. If you recall that, there was the tragic accident, the death of a young pitcher in the MLB who played for the Florida Marlins. They said he died out while boating. Again, we covered this, but that day, June 3rd, it had the first no-hitter of the season, and there was a record set in the MLB that day as well, the most grand slams in a single day in MLB history. And June 3rd is the 154th day of the year, and grand slam equals 154. So does the name Doubleday, as in Abner Doubleday, who is credited with American baseball. There used to be a 154 game season, but Doubleday 154, Grand Slam 154 on the 154th day of the year, June 3rd, the first no-hitter of the season, the most Grand Slams ever. And again, this stuff just goes on all the time. There's a million examples like this. If you are new here, I want to show you something real interesting about the word baseball. Again, there are 4 base ciphers. Trolls will come and say, you're using a million ciphers to decode. And it's like, okay, how about you give me $1 million and I'll give you $4 and we'll call it even because you're saying 4 ciphers is equivalent to 1 million. The same trolls leave the same stupid remarks all the time. You're using 1 million ciphers, as I show how day after day how all the ciphers are used perfectly in rituals. But notice the gematria of baseball and the 4 base ciphers, alphabetic order, forwards and backwards with the rules numerology. If you know baseball, I don't even need to say anything about those numbers. But if you don't know baseball, let me explain it to you. With the alphabetic order, baseball's 54. How many outs are in a baseball game? 54 outs in a game. Baseball's 18 in the most pure cipher. How many half innings are in a baseball game? 18. Guess what day Detmers got pulled up or called up to Major League Baseball in history? 1/8. And that was August 1st of last year. From that day to his no-hitter was 283 days, which is the 61st prime number, and 61's the 18th prime number. And, of course, Roger Maris hit 61 home runs in 61 to set the record at the time. But when you run the alphabetical order in reverse, baseball's 162. How many games in a modern MLB season? 162. It used to be 154. Again, that was no doubt in tribute to Doubleday, as in Abner Doubleday, who the sports credited to. And again, just so you can see, Grand Slams also 154. Go back and look it up. June 3rd, record amount of Grand Slams. But coming back to baseball, when you run it in reverse with numerology, it's 54 as well. So 54 outs in a game, 18 half innings, 162 total games in a season. All of these numbers in numerology: 5 plus 4 is 9, 18 is 1 plus 8 is 9, 162 is 1 plus 6 plus 2 is 9, 54 again is 9. There's 9 innings in a game. In numerology, 9 represents completion. So, again, the whole game's based on numerology. And if I write out Major League Baseball, well, keep in mind Major League in the most simple cipher is 108, like 108 double stitches on a baseball, which made it so easy to call the Cubs to break the 108-year drought in the 112th World Series, and why they do it over the Cleveland Indians, the 216 area code, when the movie Major League's about the Indians. 108 double stitches, 216 stitches. Major League's also 45, the ninth triangular number, going with the 9 innings. Again, all these numbers also break down to 9. But notice Major League Baseball is 162 when you run the alphabetic order forwards. Again, 162 games in a season. 63, like we just talked about. 351's the 26th triangular number. Game is 26, and so is ball game. That's what they call baseball, a ball game. 351, the 26th triangular number. 117, well, think about it. A few years ago, Roy Halladay, the 2-time Cy Young winner. November 7th, 117 leaves 54 days left in the year. Roy Halladay died in a tragic plane crash off the coast of Holiday, Florida. I'm sure that wasn't an accident. But again, you learn these numbers, you see through the rituals. Last year was the 117th World Series. Before the season began, we pegged 4 teams to win the World Series, 2 in the NL, 2 in the AL. The Braves paid 20-1. Braves were one of those teams, and the Braves had just changed their name to Truist Park, and the World Series was synced up with the death of Hank Aaron, one of the all-time Major League Baseball greats. But that's why we've been able to nail the World Series every year that I've been here. Every year we've done major damage with the World Series. 111th World Series. We said why New York would be in it. The Mets in spring training. Mets had 60-1 odds to be there. 112th World Series, we said why the Cubs break the 108-year drought. 113th World Series, Vice News wrote the article for why I said the Astros would beat the Dodgers. We had that prediction at the end of August. Astros over Dodgers. Vice News wrote the article trying to make fun of me. 114th World Series, that was the year we showed why Boston would beat LA in the World Series in Game 5, 99 days before the Super Bowl to conclude the 99th NFL season, where Tom Brady would also beat the Rams. Again, we had that Super Bowl right before the season began, and we had, again, Game 5, Boston would win 4-1 because Super Bowl's 41, and then Brady would win the Super Bowl at age 41. Again, just going down memory lane right here, you know. Helped one gentleman win over $300,000 by putting that bet together. And 115th World Series, again, helped a man turn a $10 bill into nearly $10,000 off a nice parlay. Part of it was before the Nationals were even in the World Series. We said why the Nationals would beat the Astros in Game 7 of the World Series. We won big in that World Series because you remember the Nationals took an early lead, then they fell down 3-2, then they had to come back and win the next 2 games to win it in Game 7. But Nationals over Astros, we called that before the Nationals were even in the playoffs. They hadn't even clinched. And again, all from understanding this code. 116th World Series, that was a no-brainer. We just circled the Dodgers. We said the Dodgers are winning this. Mookie Betts comes over in the Jackie Robinson riddle on 4-2. It's all about the first African-American baseball player in white modern Major League. 116th World Series, the Dodgers win. They broke the 32-year drought over the Rays. We'll talk more about the Rays in a moment in the latest ritual. But again, there's 32 sun rays on the Jesuit logo. That's who controls all these rituals. The Jesuit motto in Merum Dei Gloriam is 116. Jesuits 42, like Jackie. Remember, it was right after Kobe's death, too, that Mookie Betts came over in the 42 ritual when they reported that Kobe Bryant crashed on the 4200 block, even though he crashed in the middle of a dirt field, if he even crashed. I mean, that's another big if. But again, that was a huge Jesuit ritual. And then last year, 117th World Series. Last year we had to put out a field of 4 teams, but again, if you played those 4 spots, you were real happy because Braves paid over 20 to 1 in spring training. For people who can't do math, if you bet $100 on all 4 teams and you hit on the Braves, you came out at least plus 1,600. So that's a win. And I imagine we'll do it again this year with the 118th World Series because this is a good sign with the first no-hitter going to Los Angeles, the 118 city. Of course, there are 2 teams in LA, but again, Los Angeles, California equals 118. It's on the 118th Meridian West, and its date of establishment, September 4th, leaves 118 days left in the year. And they do a lot of rituals with 118 in LA, including when it burned up on November 8th in 2018. Paradise, California also equals 118. It also burned up on that day. But anyway, coming back to the no-hitter on the 307th day of Tyler Skaggs' age, the 63rd prime, and another major league, tribute. It's major league bullshit. And what team did they do it over? They did it over the Rays. So perfect team to play to. There's only so many teams in the MLB that have the 63 connection, but Rays is one of them. And again, look at the magic numbers here. What are the master numbers in numerology? 11 is the master number. 22 is the master builder number. And 33 is the master teacher number. So this guy, this pitcher, at age 22, in his 11th start, 33 days after the MLB season begins, gets the first no-hitter of the year, right? I mean, come on. Come on. And in college, you wore the number 46. If you've been following my work over the years, I always show how there's always a 46 encoded in every no-hitter in Major League Baseball. And that's because no-hitter in the most pure cipher is 46. And the most simple cipher, it's 109 like Los Angeles. This year, LA gets the first no-hitter. But there's always a 46 encoded in every Major League Baseball no-hitter. Again, the man who threw it wore 46 in college. This is his rookie season. Again, baseball's a little bit different with the rookie season. He did play last year, but you have to play so many games. So your second year in MLB can still be your rookie season. And again, from the day he was called up, August 1st, which can be written 1/8 like baseball, to his no-hitter was his 283rd day of being, officially in the MLB, which is the 61st prime. Again, Roger Maris hit 61 and 61. 61 is the 18th prime. Baseball's 18. And from the death of Tyler Skaggs of the Angels, July 1st, 2019, to this accomplishment was 1,044 days. Pretty much like 144, which is square root 12. Los Angeles equals 37, which is the 12th prime. They won 12-0 on 18 hits. But remember, Tyler Skaggs, right after he died, there was this amazing coincidence with the Angels no-hitter over Seattle. And I want you to see something. I'm going to write out no-hitter again. You see how no-hitter is 109.46, also 107.44? I want you to go back and look at all the no-hitters in recent MLB history, and I want you to tell me how many are against Seattle, because it's a huge disproportionate number, where no-hitter is 107 and 44, Seattle's 107 and 44. And this is a team that's been getting no-hit a lot. But anyway, look at what they wrote after if you forgot this, let's go down memory lane. Angels point to Tyler Skaggs' spirit and numerical oddities after no-hitter. Numerical coincidences were plentiful, beginning with his 7/13/1991 birthday. Now remember, 91 is the 13th triangular number, and the most simple cipher, LA, is 13. L is the 12th letter, A is the first, 12 plus 1, 13. And the Angels pointed them out after scoring 7 runs to go with his July birthday in the first inning, 7-1. And what day did he die? He died 7-1. This is right after his death. The Angels collected 6 more for a total of 13, born on 7/13. 13 is the 6th prime number. The last combined no-hitter thrown in California was on Skaggs' birth date, which was July 13th, 91. So right after he dies, they have a combined team no-hitter for the first time in state history since the day he was born, when 4 Baltimore Orioles combined to shut out the Oakland Athletics on July 13th, 1991. The Angels no-hitter Friday was the 11th in franchise history. Skaggs wore number 11 at Santa Monica High School. You can't make this stuff up, Trout said. He was definitely looking over us tonight. Well, you can make it up, and that's what they're doing. They're contriving it day after day. Go look at some of these no-hitters in recent years, It's like either the entire team was drugged or none of them were trying to hit the ball. Just like it's like if I brought pee-wee players up, to face major league pitching in some of these no-hitters. Like, look at the swings these guys are doing. They're acting like they'd never seen, movement from an MLB pitcher. I mean, it's just, you guys, sports have become such a joke. And my dad finally woke up in recent years because baseball's always been his thing. And he just couldn't stand watching it with the shifts. He just knew something was wrong. He's like, okay, these guys would not be in the MLB if they can't hit with these shifts on. I mean, do they not have a hitting coach? If the whole defense is going to shift to one side of the field, you don't know how to check your swing, slow up your swing, change your bat angle. You don't know how to put the ball over in that huge gap that they've left in the field for you. I mean, anybody should be able to get a hit with that. Again, this stuff, they just make it more obvious each year. The ridiculous comebacks in sports. All the sports are just so ridiculous now. Basketball's always been a game of swings, but now it's a game of just incredible swings that just happen all the time. And notice it's happened in the time of the live betting, baiting gamblers, you know. So, huge clue that Kansas was coming back against UNC, despite the record halftime lead, is that the books didn't change in real time. I mean, you still got, they weren't paying anything on the Kansas comeback. That should have been a big payout at halftime, but it wasn't. So anyway, yesterday, if you missed yesterday's video about all the news being 105, shortly after I finished that video, this headline broke. So you just get one more example. Tom Brady wants to be an announcer 105. Bill Gates has got COVID. His full name's 105. He pledged $105 million to COVID vaccines on the 105th day of the year. Then he's sick on 10/5. All the stuff. Belarus, the 105 ritual, everything we went over yesterday. All the big news stories yesterday were 105. And then you get another one in sports. And like I've been saying for all these years, you learn this code, you see through the bullshit news, you see through the bullshit sports. It's all scripted by the same Jesuits who control it all. And it's not a conspiracy theory. See, it's not a theory because it's proven rock solid day after day, And again, for all the morons out there that say it's because we're using a million ciphers, again, I'll give you $4. You give me $1 million, okay? I'll give you 4 and you give me $1 million, right? Because we're using a million ciphers here. We're using a million ciphers. So they just line up with all the rituals day after day. Again, the big abortion thing that's got everybody up in arms. I mean, that's how dumb people are. They can't see how they get played, that they bring abortion to you in an election year, and you can't see how you're just played like literally like you're some animal, right? Like they just put the carrot on the stick in front of you like you're a little rabbit, like you're a donkey, and then you chase it like you're a dumb donkey, right? But again, like I just said, the whole abortion thing's around Amy Coney Barrett because she's the one that tilted the power of the court when she replaced Ruth Bader Ginsburg. And the abortion news dropped 94 days after her 50th birthday on the 122nd day of the year. And I've been educating for years about these numbers in abortion, especially 122, because Roe versus Wade was decided on January 22nd, 122. Again, news to sports, it's all contrived. You got to be a moron to think all this stuff's a coincidence day after day, as I show you the same patterns for 9 years straight, as we call things for 9 years straight before they happen. And again, I mean, for all the trolls that say we're using a million ciphers, seriously, I want you to send me $1 million and I'm going to send you $4 because that's fair, right? You say we're using a million ciphers when I'm showing 4. And not to mention, in the first 2 years not the first 2 years, first 3.5 years that I did this, we only used 2 ciphers and we still nailed things. Again and again and again. We already had multiple articles written about me when we only knew 2 ciphers. So it only took 2 ciphers to really expose what was going on. When we learned to run it in reverse, we just saw the other half of the code. Again, if we didn't know reverse, here's the things we'd miss in this cipher. We'd see the Angels, we'd see the Rays part, we'd see the Major League Baseball part. We wouldn't see the Major League part because that's reverse. We would have missed that in the first years. We'd see the Reid Detmers with the 12-0, but we would have missed Detmers on the 10/5 date. So again, this is why reverse is so important. It's obvious the way it fits in because it just lines up the ritual even more. And that's what we've always shown from the beginning. If you guys were here when I discovered reverse, we started going back and looking at my old work and said, wow, look at what the reverse cipher also does for this decode that we already understood. look at how much more clearly we see through it now. You know, so Detmers in Major League is pretty much the only thing we wouldn't have caught on this ritual. And again, Jesuit Order 144. Like I continue to say, it's the Jesuits behind all this. So we'll leave it short and sweet. And thank you to everyone who hits the like and share. And again, for all the trolls that want to help fund the movement, just send in those $1,000,000. As soon as I get it, I'll send you back $4, and we'll be square, right? Because we're using 1,000,000 ciphers, and in your world, 4 is 1,000,000. So send the 1,000,000. I'll send back the 4, and we'll call it a fair deal. All right, we'll leave it there. Till next time, True Seeker.